which was clarified then, but as Buddha would say, every central point, every critical point should be discussed or presented 3 times. So we made a very huge statement, huge conclusion the other day, about which Veena asked. So then I said, yeah, whatever the referent or the referent reality that we seemingly perceive or understand or feel by the word love, okay, that is the possible, probable, primary characteristic, property, tendency, or what we call intentionality of the mind. So, if you look at the properties of mind, generally, no, let us not use about. So, intentionality. These are all concepts, but with very wonderful reference and different realities. The concepts which I am going to discuss now, as a response to the question of Veena about clarifying what we discussed in the other day, previous day, that love is the possible expression of the original mind. So, yeah, rather, precisely focusing our attention on the referent of love or possible referent of love, that may not be there with the original mind, Veena. Okay? But it has that tendency or it has that property called intentionality. That means if it has a moment, like something like the seed, if it makes a movement, I mean that whatever that aspect, it will sprout only upwards.
Yes.
And the root will go only downwards. Similarly, the tendency of that original mind, if it makes a movement on its own, it would be love. So that kind of a tendency at its root level is called by the word intentionality. Intentionality, I don't know how many of you are aware of that word even before. It is in a way a central concept in what we call metaphysics and philosophy. Anyway, that's all just a theoretical aspects. Intent, no? The ability to have an intent, that's intentionality. The concept of intentionality was originally brought into the field of psychology itself by a philosopher by the name Franz Brentano. So, Franz Brentano, I would say, must have been a very original-minded person, rather kind of an enlightened being. I told you I introduced Patanjali and Krishna and Buddha through their dialogues, with the assumption that any dialogue is an expression of your mind, of your intellect, of your whatever that dialogue represents. So when Franz Brentano talked about intentionality, he mentioned that even a piece of stone has intentionality. Plants, birds, insects, butterflies, even objects, man-made objects have intentionality. That's what he said. If something is to be formed, it in a kind of a shape or design setting, it will have intentionality. Even he uses the example that even a chair has intentionality, in the sense that the chair is made for sitting.
WhatsApp audio.
Yeah, Meenakshi? Hello? Meenakshi is calling. Oh, sorry. Yeah, all right. All right. Okay, Meenakshi, sorry. So I was talking with the closed eyes. Therefore, I did not see Meenakshi's request for entry. All right. In other words, the intentionality of the pen is about writing. We can give interpretations for that intentionality. In other words, if the pen by itself would do an act of movement, it will be to write or to manifest itself, to express itself. Get the point? If the pencil had life, what it would do is to do what you do with it on one side, and on the other side, the human being, so-called intelligent human being, wanted to use some material in order to make an impression on whatever surface. So that intent has given rise to the creation of that object itself. So intentionality is a very powerful term. It is some hidden intentionality in you is making you sit down for 2-3 hours with almost absolute uninterrupted attention, undivided attention. So it can go to that level. So intentionality. So love, in whichever way you can get a firm feel about it, because it is in a different vantage point. Love is the number one or the most supreme response or supreme difference of the human mind. There must be mind for the cats and birds and dogs, no doubt about it. I am very clear about that. Anyway, okay, that experience of love, that seemingly does not exist in the other organisms, because there is not that much of gray matter, cerebral cortex. Like, where is the mind? Like even emotions of fear and anger and all has been, they were attributed with some kind of a neuronal process directly. But in which way? Fine threads, very gentle margins of love that you experience for a bird, or love that you experience for a beautiful flower in your hand. Now, how that, Anyway, so love, that little baby's only expression is what we can say as love. Using that love, for example, we are able to have some control on it, actually. Not actually the love of the parents, in fact. It is the powerful force of the love in the child that the parents are able to manage it or do whatever they are doing to it. Like Vinay pointed out the other day, you give a beating to the child, it cries ultimately, and next moment you extend your hand, it comes as original, as cool, as it was not affected by that crying or beating at all. So in that sense, in fact, the child's love for the mother is in a way far superior to the love of the mother for the child. Mother's love is based on some organic linkages, like Parvati said, the body is the mind. Of course, where else? The mother's love is triggered organically. Because the child, the cell assemblage of the child was an extension that happened over a period of 280 days. So, if the body is the mind, that mind of the mother has extended to the body of the child. So, therefore, there is a primary placenta, quite parallel to the physical placenta that connects the body of the baby with the uterine walls. With the walls of the mind of the mother, there is a connection for the mind of the child. So, mother's love, in that sense, perhaps I am the only one in the world as of now to put the love of the mother to the child definitely much less than the love of the child for the mother. It is not because the mother has given food or whatever. It is not because the mother cuddled it or kissed it or all that. That was triggered because that was the first expression of the original mind that was invoked again and again and again by every hugging of the mother, by every whatever of the mother. So that was first triggered. And it happened to be triggered to the mother's body. Therefore, it is told that children usually have a better gravitational force of love towards the mother than to the father. Anyway, these are all things which I say. So similarly, when you understand the original mind, and when you are able to direct your attention to the possible, probable nature of the referent and the referent reality of whatever you are talking about, you will be able to talk about it in many, many vantage points. When you talk about something, when you interpret something, when you analyze something on the basis of your knowing and a given statement of language, then there are limitations. You cannot go beyond the periphery suggested by the languages of the sentence or idea which you want to interpret. Whereas, when you are able to see the referent being denoted by the sentence or the paragraph or the book, then you are absolutely free to fly around 360 degree in different orbits of the referent, because you directly see or experience or project or imagine or visualize the referent in world. I was just giving a description of what I am doing to you now. Or coming back to the points. So, by the very intentionality of the mind, one of the properties of the mind, love is the first or the primary property of the mind, and it is of the original mind. Subsequently, various theories or various mindsets are formed in the child. Love only me. Even parents would ask, a mother would ask, you love me more than the father. So gradually ideas are put. The little baby is ready to run to the gate to hug a ugly looking beggar because it is love. But the parents would not allow that. So gradually lot of frameworks in the environment, lot of communication by expressions and responses and behaviors and ways of doing. Apart from language, from the development environment, that original love is almost completely blocked by the parents all over the world. First, that original response of the baby, the infant, 1 year old, 1 month old, 3 months old, so 5 months old, even 1, 2 to 3 years, it will be intact there, despite the intimidations of the parents. Still, it will be available. You can now easily imagine how parents are restricting the original mind's property of love, because the adults are inevitably sort of self-centered, maybe by the survival requirements of the modern world especially. Maybe 50 years back, 100 years back, it was not like that. Definitely, I know very clearly. The village is existed by absolute mutual love, not original love, whatever it is, that concern. In a very reasonably, not rich, just homes having food. Every day the housewife would cook little extra food. That is to give to someone who may be in need. The lady of the house will go to the gate and ask, is there anybody hungry around? Is there anybody hungry around? These are simple, silly examples. If you think about them some time back, you will know. Society existed by love. Anyway, that's all. No, not all societies, not all parts of every society, but still. Anyway, what the parents do is, first of all, block the original flow of the love. And unknowingly done. For example, if there is a servant lady, there must be 1 or 2, 3 communications at least. No, do not go to that extent. That kind of a signal will be given, and children, little babies are very, very sensitive to signals. Because that is the world they are exposed to. Even a twinkle of the eye of the mother or somebody else will be definitely registered very deeply in the highly powerful creative sensitivity of the original mind of the child. So think about this, reflect about this, write down your ideas, and give talks about this to the world. This is the way you have to talk to the world. They have to understand why that love is lost for them. And you have to inspire them to rediscover that original love in them. And the unconscious process flow is the one who divides that love or categorize people in terms of the extent and quality of love, that much they are doing unto themselves too. Because love is a property, intentionality of the original mind. So if it is reserved, if it is restricted, if it is manipulated towards other people, it would get automatically manipulated to oneself. As a result, there is no real care for oneself. Real care. Real care meaning to try the best out of oneself. To make oneself great is not there. If you have real love for you, you cannot sleep without making yourself great. Because that is the tendency of love. When you love your children, or when you even love your friend, or when you love your trainees, you want them to reach their best. And if you love you, anything more can be said about this. So, having triggered the question, so the theme that the referent of love is the basic intentionality of the mind. I suppose all of you understood it very clearly and firmly forever. So at this point, when we got the opportunity, we will talk about the other attributes of the mind. Mind is the primary engine. Of course, the body is there, but it is primary. The body is triggered, the central nervous system grows first, the brain develops first. That is for basically the physical purposes. But the so-called mind is the energy field of that brain is the operating agent, the mediator between the entity and the external environment. In that sense, mind is the primary engine. As I said, at the very instance of the body getting exposed to a different temperature level or whatever texture level or feeling level coming out of the womb, instantly it cries. Cries is a response of discomfort. So, therefore, mind has, it is like a primary school, it is the basic, it is primary. That's why we have to be very careful not to intimidate the mind of other people. If you do that, you should have the competency to bring it back also. Of course, great majority of people in society, in their social interaction, they are all careful about not, humiliating other people, other persons, not to intimidate the mind. So you avoid many statements, you control many statements, you restrict your behaviors and things like that. Rather, you are concerned about the possible feelings or emotions of the mind of other people. So that is there because everybody knows, as I told some time back, everybody is a psychologist. Everybody is a theory maker. That's because of the primary nature of the mind. If mind is offended, then things are gone. Whatever the intellect says, whatever the legal system says, whatever the punishment system, the individual will be forced to do that. It's all just theory. These are all useful for you to talk about mind to somebody. Second, because of the primariness of the mind, it has also another property called primacy. Connected with primary. Primacy meaning the ultimate opinion, the ultimate stand. Like the Supreme Court of India has the primacy in terms of legal matters. Primacy. Ultimately, okay, most of the time the action or response or ways of language, ways of working may be controlled by the intellect. But even there is the mind. I must do a wonderful job. See? The great doctor or the great architect or the great leader or whatever, there is that mental possession. I want to do something and I want to do a wonderful thing. That is a running program. Primacy of the mind. So, in a way, through this program of Genius Choice interactions, you are developing the primacy of mind also, along with understanding the powers of human entity. Till today, one way or the other, we are all beating around the same bush of the wonder of the human entity. We name it creative analytic thinking, creative analysis of parables. And for that also, we have taken the greatest available material, the parables used in the Zen monastery, as case studies. And we were able to interpret a parable of the Zen, as well as we were able to interpret a so-called simple nursery rhyme also. We could see the symbol in the great parable, and we could see the great in a simple rhyme. So, all these are also to give you a certain primacy of your mind, your mental estimation of you, that you are really something. Don't bother about, don't be embarrassed to feel that. That also is again a theory of mind. I'm not supposed to talk about me. Okay, don't talk about you. Especially in India, they don't allow that. They will say you're boasting and things like that. They cannot tolerate a person talking on behalf of himself. Somebody else has to talk about it. Whereas the West is just the opposite. If somebody else talks about you, give a recommendation about you, they feel suspicious of you. So, the primacy of the mind, understanding the fundamentality of mind. And third, of course, it is emotive. Emotive. Motive force to drive the organism into action. That we discussed a little bit. That is a survival requirement. Most of the time, mind is understood, mind is used whenever there is an emotional component in the context. And people use normally thoughts also as a part of the mind, ongoing thoughts. Okay, we are not basically concerned about whether thoughts are a part of mind or part of intellect and all that. That is for our convenience of getting better clarity about the referent reality of our interior corporation. And next one is, it is of course analytical. Mind is analytical. Analytical, do not take the word analytical in a very systematic sense. Analysis is again a word to refer to that activity by which the given thing is opened up left, right, top, front, back, bottom, every details and looking at its expressions. Analysis. Like a statistical analysis,
It's
medical
20
analysis,
hours.
legal analysis, economic analysis, statistical analysis, all kinds of analysis. Here we talk about that general tendency of something to observe another thing in all its details, if possible, to open up it and try to know the details of it. It is the analytical engines of the bird by which it is able to identify the precise type of tips to construct its nest. That root of the phenomenon called analysis. So mind is also able to. Like the little baby is able to respond a little differently to the mother figure vis-a-vis other figures around. So instantly, it's a millisecond quick analysis. Yeah, this is that analysis at the preliminary level, and then normal analysis based on emotions, based on past experiences, memory, etc., etc., etc. So this you remember, just like that. Now we will go back. That is what we discussed, Veena, the other day.
Thank you.
We discussed about original mind, but I made the final statement only at the end of it. I was gradually driving the thought process of the audience towards the destination that the original mind has only one expression, that is love. All right, so right now we have the uh, PPTs of Veena Ganesh. It is hers is another approach to construct a theory of mind. Okay, Veena, ready? All right.
Hello, good evening, everyone. It's almost more than a month since I made this PPT and sent to sir. Actually, I don't remember what I wrote in that. It is completely blank when I thought, what I will present today. Then I had to go back to the slides and find out what I have written. And I could not actually uh, find out why I wrote in this sequence. What except it was I wrote it with so much of focus and editing and all those things, and then came to this format. But now I am not able to find out why I did like that. What on what basis I made this first slide.
All right.
Yeah. So that is also the property of my mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I precisely wanted to interject you. That is the beauty of the mind. Rather, mind intellect combination, let us say. On one side, mind has got a moment of inspiration. Okay, let me do it. This is something which I like or I want to do it. Then it is the cooperation of the intellect in generating these ideas. No, they forget about this. I may have to. I'm forced to use this distinction of mind and intellect because we have another set of discussions on intellect itself.
Yeah.
But do not please see it as different compartments of the same trade. All right. So, okay, let us do it right away.
Yeah. So I would like to begin from the fourth last slide rather than first slide.
All right. Okay, beautiful. Do it. Oh, sorry.
Last one. Last one.
Last, last slide, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
എഴുന്നേക്കാൻ പറ്റുമോ നോക്കൂ ഉണർത്താൻ പറ്റുമോ നോക്കൂ ഒരു മിനിറ്റ്.
Yeah. So why we are doing this analysis? So we have got to categorically mentioned that not to refer to the known theories of the mind, as because we'll be biased by what we already know. So already by experiencing what we already are experiencing from our day-to-day lives, we have to make this theory of the mind, which is very difficult because what we already know is also a part of our experience.
Yeah, this I wanted to add in the sense that I said it, yes. That does not mean that you should not accept or trust in any of the parts or full of available theories.
Yeah.
That can be definitely helpful and they can definitely help you interpret the phenomenon called the mind. That, of course, you can do, you should do it also ideally in the future. Here, the purpose of this exercise or this part of the sessions, as I told you, to make you do conceptualization, which is the most important requirement for creative analytic thinking as well as for interpretation. And secondly, when you're doing it, we can do it on something else also. But we chose mind as the most critical variable of the human entity also. So that may also come. Let it come. It can come. Why not? I said do not refer to a theory because there are so many theories. If you just type the internet, I don't know. I have not done that. There must be different theories available.
Yeah.
Not to put that straight away. That's what I meant. If, for example, I know you understand Freudian theory, you can talk about that.
Yeah, I avoided all those things.
But when you talk about that, there will be a difference if you have made it your own original ideas. That's all. So this was the purpose. All right.
Yeah.
It may
So
contain some of the available ideas. No doubt.
yes.
No, all
Correct.
right. Okay. Proceed.
So and look at and
Master,
explore.
can I interrupt for
Yes.
1 minute?
Yeah, please.
The PPT is a little blurred for me. I don't know if it's my problem or if it's so for everyone. Could you put it on slideshow mode?
All right.
For a moment, it was really clear, but now it has gone back to being a little blurred.
Yeah, all right. Is it
Is it
clear
okay
now?
now? Is it okay?
It's yeah, but it is slightly blurred. Now I don't know if it's my problem or everybody sees it that way.
It is okay here.
Yeah, I can see very clearly.
No, I can't. Oh no,
Yeah,
no,
I
I
can
can't even
see
read
too.
it.
Can you now?
Yeah, better.
Okay.
Yeah, better.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I started off with looking at and exploring my own mind. And the most closest aspect of myself is a really complex and difficult one to analyze because it is not something very simple. There are deeper and deeper layers, and so we can't. I don't know from where to begin and where to start. So to find the connection and understand the interrelatedness of the five spokes of the self, I have started off from that point, from this, for the first part of this slide. And also, I would like to make another example from what Anu said last time about the picture of that water drops falling on that Ashwini's picture. Anu said that the water drops, once they fall into the water body, they become one with the water body. So I was thinking about that aspect of the mind. Do they really become one with the water body, and under which circumstances? Because this is a compatibility issue, I think. Not all ideas and all thoughts merge with the main body of the water.
That aspect, Veena, I suppose you were not here.
I,
Precisely, this was discussed at that point itself, and I made a lot of talk on that. That the entire world is exposed to great lot of ideas,
yeah.
great lot of droplets, but 90% of them do not get registered. This was discussed on that day itself, Veena.
Yeah, but I think
But I
registered
think no,
because
no, no, Anu said I think just the opposite of what you said. That's what I recollect. Anu said that it will not get missed. That's what she said.
I
Not
thought
that it got missed.
I thought
Anyway,
she said
that's a matter
yeah,
of that's
yeah.
okay. But you are very right. Very that's the most critical aspect of the world. In fact, I gave a great lecture at that point of time.
Okay, maybe I
That
missed
is
that.
no, yeah, you were not here. I suppose. That is a major problem of the world. I even said that every Sunday, great ideas are discussed very genuinely. The people in the auditorium they listen very carefully. All religions, all other social ideologies, all talking wonderful perspectives and guidance to humanity. But what is happening? Every parent, even a criminal parent, must be telling some good ideas to his child, but it doesn't get registered. Yes.
So I was thinking that there should be like what we have a program in the computer. There should be a compatibility between what the ideas and what is spoken, and the
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good
mind,
point.
mind on which
No,
it
no, no,
forms.
do not go that fast.
Yeah.
One of the purposes of this theory making is I was sure everyone will come with the different perspectives, and I will use them to clarify details of that phenomenon, Vina. So, this is not with a view to just present your theory and go back. No, no. So, I would like to say something here. It is not a question of compatibility, like in a computer program. It is something much more than that. What is the compatibility issue about Ten Commandments? Very simple. What is compatible issue with the actual legal provision, legal restrictions of not to take bribe, do not contaminate food, do not approximate funds, do not cheat anybody, etc., etc. So, what is non-compatible aspect about comprehending that and doing that? So, it is something else. A little baby, a two-year-old baby is told certain things, like the previous point which you mentioned. Droplets, clear droplets of what to do, what not to do about a certain thing are explained to the child. 10 children, let us say so, as an experiment, 10 children. One of them comprehends it the best and follows it the best. That's a normal distribution principle, Vina. Even you go to Olympics, one of them is the speediest person. So that is a mystery. That's not a mystery. In fact, various perspectives are there which explain that. Simple fundamental is the normal distribution theory of individual differences, though they do not talk about it. A good egg in a bad environment and a bad egg in a good environment both can lead to inappropriately configured children. So every so-called star sign, in whatever astrological tradition, they are indicating certain basic intentionalities of that person. Western zodiac or Indian system. That's a different issue, you know. We don't follow
I
trend.
was thinking in the context of our training program also, because everybody cannot understand this, so we need a corresponding training to of the mind to be accepting, or to be open to such, or understanding or grasping the ideas we discuss. In that context, I say.
Oh, that is a very dangerous context. I don't want to touch upon that. I have, to my best extent, I have tried to get some amount of uniformity of uh, at least inspiration. That is the one. We have to go by the externalized manifestations. The level of inspiration could be at least more or less compatible, more or less uniform across the trainees. But they may have other constraints of time limits or, like Parvati said, personal theories. I am already having a lot of work. In between, how will I do? That moment of thought itself can act as a block. Or I have to sleep. Or I do not sleep. All these are all neuronal process. So that can affect. So there are all kinds of such variables could be there, but which we don't want to touch upon that as of now.
But that is also
That is also,
that is
that's a critical factor.
even otherwise what Ramesh says or Meenakshi says, the way they process the information is very difficult for me to grasp, especially Ramesh with the diagram. I need to think a lot. I cannot react instantly or respond instantly like you are doing. So I need to think a lot because that is the way he is processing the information in the pictures. So with such a speed, it is not possible for my mind to understand that. I have to reflect.
It's
No, Vina, I
2015.
suppose if I go by the words of your language now, your attention is slightly misplaced. You used the word processing 2 times.
Yes.
You want to understand the way you said. You do not understand the way Ramesh processes the idea or Meenakshi processes the idea. You want to look at that. You look at the available result, what they say, that you can comprehend. I think you're unknowingly, unconsciously, you're trying to understand the processes by which they are doing this. That's what you said now.
I didn't get you, sir.
You said that you do not understand the processes by which Ramesh or Meenakshi is doing their presentation. That's what you said.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
you repeated.
Yes, yes,
That
yes.
is a wrong focus of attention. Rather, are you trying to understand the processes of Ramesh or Meenakshi by which they make the presentation?
No.
Oh, yeah. Then why do you say that? You said that.
Yeah, I said that
Unknowing.
because I am not able to understand the way. That is why I am not able to understand.
Then,
That is why.
then, then, in which case you should have said, I do not understand what they are presenting on the screen. That you
Yeah,
didn't say. That you don't say.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No, you didn't say that. You don't normally say also. That means you understand everything that is coming there. But you are also trying in between running a parallel program of understanding how they arrived at all those things also.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, that is the problem. Or that is your advantage, and that will not happen so easily. You just cannot. It is very complex.
But you are doing that, sir. You are doing
Uh,
very,
no,
very quickly and sharply to, especially Tintu's comments, the not in the last sessions and one before that. You asked a question. No, in the last session, Tintu said something like, in the last session, you asked us, what was wrong with that statement, what we missed, identify the referent. I could not identify because the speed with which was said, I could not forgot the first statement totally. I was for second, third, so many sentences followed, so I could not remember the first sentence. But your attention is clearly on the first line itself. So
yeah.
that aspect of the mind I am talking.
Yeah, that okay, that is clear. That is because you sit there and I sit here, and I have a certain intentionality in my mind. I am sitting here in order to monitor what you say and in order to respond to that. Whereas none of you is sitting there like that, I suppose. That is why, Vina. That is why. In fact, you understand much more than me, evidenced by your success in therapeutic context. So here, each of the slides that I have also mentioned many a time. Every point in every slide could be discussed for minimum 3 hours. Every point. But we do not have the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, when I saw that concept of theory not mentioned by every one of you except Parvati, I was a little bit no. I did not accept it because we are always I mentioned to you that you have to start with the concept sense, and every word has to be taken, considered in a question or in an assignment. Because every one of you must equally understand. I would say you must understand more about theory than about the mind. Because there is nothing, we can never finish understanding the mind in the sense of we are trying to understand every facet, every expression, every emotion of the mind. We want to get rid of the mind. We want to go to as quickly as possible, drop out all the baggages, all the weight of the mindsets and come back to the original mind. So theory is much more important because you are also driven by a theory. Many trees of theories, not one single tree of theory. Theory meaning like anyway Parvati has done that. Whatever that some concept, some idea. There is an idea. There is something without which a series of behaviors cannot be acted upon. That needs a lot of discussion, as I told about Vina also. So, when you interacted with the patient, you would have realized that there's a certain theory by which attention is sustained and maintained in order to protect that cocoon. That's what you are trying to break. And give another theory. Similarly, this theory, that's what I told you. I have told you another, for example, I told you another wonderful theory which, to my knowledge, nobody in the world has said it. No Upanishads, I don't know. I have not come across the statement that the basic property of the original mind is love. There may be much greater statements. They say even God is love, whatever is love. But I am pinpointing. I explained it clearly the other day. So that all the understandings and insights and perspectives you develop through this program, all of them should be the new framework of theories for you to understand the expressions and responses and behaviors and doings and the relationships and languages of other people as well as of you. So, to understand the process is not that important, Vina. That don't bother about that.
Okay.
The process, but even if you that process, you have to look at the concept of process in the mind itself. We use a word in our process. It is nothing but energy field interaction. The modern artificial intelligence, okay? It is nothing but a derivative out of understanding the brain processes. Okay, but the artificial intelligence also is using definite one-to-one connectivity of one-to-one switches, whatever it is. Okay, but the brain, human brain, is much far above than that. It is not just one neuron to the next neuron alone. So what happens in Ramesh, or what happens inside Minesh, or what happens inside Ashwati or Anuradha or Vinay or anybody, or even inside you, that cannot be, that process in itself cannot be known. Because there is nothing to be known. It is just going on. It is the way of the body, it is the way of the neurons. So fire generates whatever sensation called heat. So what is the process? Whatever be the process, they may explain molecular expansion, this, that, this, that, this, that, but ultimately that does not explaining anything. They're all partial explanations only. So be clear about your knowing, and be clear about what cannot be known also, or be clear about uh, the advantages of knowing certain things, and that there is no disadvantage in not knowing anything, certain things also. Okay. Whether you understand the process of Ramesh or Meenakshi or Asadi, you do whatever you want to do you are doing it. That's all.
That is true, but when we listen to their presentation,
Hmm.
it is with the intention of understanding that. So their understanding they show with in their presentation in that pattern.
Hmm.
So, and it is done with so much speed. I am not able to grasp most of the things
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's okay, but that is sure, not for sure that everyone also grasping it fully. And that is not the purpose of this meeting also. The purpose of this meeting is very clear. You, every individual, develop the full beam, full spokes or the full wheel that individual is. For which whatever guidance or whatever knowing required, you can take from the interactions, and by the clues of methods, you can generate your own. So what Ramesh knows, what I am saying is how much Ramesh understood. That is for him to understand, benefit out of it. We may not benefit that much from understanding what Ramesh said. We don't need to. That's what, for example, the other day when Parvati said, I had that vow, then I told her, okay, fine, that's enough. If she had that vow, even she may not be able to explain that. I can give a lot of interpretations. That does not make anything sensible out of it also. So I got it clear that she got it. That's all. So similarly, I understand what Meenakshi says, what Sudhi says, what Anuradha says, what Veena says, what Vinay says, and all that. As a monitor of the program, that's all.
Yeah, so that
So
is the unconscious communication that has come to me that I should understand like you are doing, and I am not able to do. So I am trying to say.
that's not necessary. But when you are sitting as a guide, like I am sitting, well, quite possibly you will understand everything. And if you do not understand the thing, you will ask that person. That I have done.
Okay.
For example, I asked Ashadi or Parvati or Anjatha or Ramesh, again, what do you mean by that? I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I didn't understand meaning. I am not sure what he is implying by saying that. Because it's a conceptualization, it's a mental impression that he is talking about. So I wanted to get a little more clarity about the referent, the way I wanted to. So I have asked, you can also ask. Okay?
So I have come to that theory of my mind, one aspect of my mind.
Okay.
Okay. So can I go back to the first slide? Sir?
This will not be visible to Meenakshi at all because this cannot be enlarged. I will read out. All right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you wanted me to read, okay, the first sentence. All right. It is nicely done, of course. Mind, the second spoke of the self. There's a caption there. Okay. So what is a spoke? This is referent reality perspective. So you're writing what is a spoke. All right. Okay. Then, so I will proceed this anti-clockwise direction. The referent mind is chosen as at the center of the hub. So that's the heading she has given. No. Yeah, she has given somewhere else that
One before.
mind is the center of the hub.
The one before this. Yeah.
Where is it written?
Then here.
Yeah, yeah. So center of the hub. That itself can be discussed for another 1 hour, Veena.
Yeah.
But here, if I say that this idea has been influenced by a little bit of Zen knowings, am I right?
I'm not able to relate to that. Maybe I am doing it out of that interaction, but when you ask that question, I cannot say yes or no.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
I did that because at that point of time, already the body was done. So second thing is the mind. So they put it in the center and put the other five factors around the mind.
Oh, I see. That hub. Okay.
Yeah.
This is very interesting.
Hmm.
This is very interesting.
I think I've written also.
Center of the hub.
Yes.
Hmm.
What is a hub? In fact, this statement is saying that the original mind is nothingness, emptiness.
Yes.
That's why I wanted Parvati to talk about the empty slide. Center of the hub. What is the center of the hub? Ramesh, what is the center of the hub? Ramesh is there?
Yeah, yes, sir, I'm there, sir.
What is the center of the hub?
Uh, the mind is the center of the hub.
No. The question is, what is the center of a hub? What is a hub? You have designed the hub of
It's
Royal
2020.
Enfield. What is a hub?
The hub is something which holds everything. Which
No, do not go philosophically. What is precisely a practical material wheel, a bullock cart wheel? What is the hub there?
the hub is the center portion of the wheel, and from the hub there are multiple spokes which keeps coming out, and it is holding the rim of the tire, and over the rim there is the wheel, the tire. The hub is the center of the wheel.
Okay, hub is the center of the wheel. All right.
Nothing. It is nothing actually.
So then, what is the
Full
center
empty
of the hub?
space.
Yeah, all right. All right. The center of the hub, like Parvati pointed out, it is nothingness. Hub is that portion on which the spokes are fixed upon. For example, now when Ramesh made the statement, you are not really focusing on referent reality based language, Ramesh. Because you know it already. You got trapped by your knowledge. You said hub is that center from which spokes are coming out. That's a wrong language. That is okay for the majority. It is not spokes coming out of the hub. Get the point? Just I am inviting your attention because when you talk about something that you know, you are very likely to depend upon ordinary language. What Ramesh said is correct. Everybody would understand what he mentioned, but that is not referent reality-based language. Is that clear, Ramesh? Yeah. Actually, the hubs, whatever be the wheel, whether it is the wheel of a motorcycle or a bullock cart, the spokes are fixed onto the hub. Of course, it looks like it is coming out of the hub. That's another part of the story which I want every one of you to be very careful. All right. Now, this is again a beauty. That's why I mentioned in the beginning whether Veena herself made a statement that when she talks about a theory of the mind, the other general knowledge about theories of mind may get mixed with that. Therefore, I asked whether some element of Zen had in her mind when she used the center of the hub. She did not say even the hub. See? She said the center of the hub. That is very significant, very unique, very extraordinary, very mysterious. This is what I told you some time back. You have to be attentive to the language that you are entity would generate, especially after interaction with me. Sorry, especially after having this jnana yoga, after exercising your intellectual processes so much, unknowingly you will talk wonderful ideas. So you have to be very careful. When you say mind is the center of the hub, in that sense, it is not correct. Original mind is the center of the hub, actually. But again, mind is the center of the hub in the sense that mind is such a mysteriously inaccessible, intangible, insensible phenomenon, like the center of the hub. Because hub is a material upon which the spokes are fixed, but the center of the hub is absolute emptiness. But that emptiness is essential for the wheel. If that empty space was not there for the wheel cannot be fixed upon an axis. So, in fact, there is an entire theory on the center of the hub. There is an entire parable. If you look into the 5 parables I had sent to you, in which there was the parable, the sound of the forest, the last parable, named the wheel, is precisely about locating the center of the hub. There's a famous statement in the very Tao by Lao Tzu. Tao is almost same, a less refined version, but more or less compatible version of the Zen. That is this: 30 spokes